Hey, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our 15th installment of the Writer's Bookshelf. Yes, we are on book 15 out of a 16 book series, which means, or season, rather, which means next week is going to be our final book of season 1. I'm glad you made it this far, if you have made it this far, and if you are a newcomer to this series, make sure you go back and watch the introduction so you can get a feel for what the point of the series is, and then just you can kind of work your way up through the books that we've done so far. I want to remind you this is not a comprehensive video on everything the book covers. For you to get all the information the book covers, you have to read the book. What I'm doing is I'm giving you recommendations of the books I think you should read if you are serious about writing, and I'm giving you kind of a justified order in which to go. So I'm not covering every book that I think you should have in this season. I will do more in season 2. You'll find that season 2 will cover some of the essentials that probably should be in season 1, but I just didn't have the room for. So we'll probably early in season 2 cover a lot of the books that are useful no matter what stage you are or even what type of work you're working on. So we will be doing that soon. But we'll talk about that next week. Next week is going to be our promo for season 2. Plus one more book. It's not going to be like a bookless day. It'll be a book plus, preview of season 2. But this week I promised you I would do a funny book, and this book is one of the funniest books I've read in reference, which is probably a lot like saying this broccoli is the tastiest broccoli you'll ever have. No, it's legit funny. It's legit. I'm tempted to reread this book every so often. I think about it, I'm like, man, I should read that book again because it just makes me laugh so hard. It's an essential book. I think it's not something you're going to find at Barnes & Noble anymore, but I think it still shows up in the occasional writer's circle. It's one that I think it was kind of an underground book for the longest time. Like, it was one that when I bought it, I never heard of it, and no one ever really talked about it, and I thought for sure it would vanish, but it's every so often it shows back up. So it's a good book to have. And the name of that book is How Not to Write a Novel, 200 Classic Mistakes and How to Avoid Them, a Misstep-by-Misstep Guide. So this is essentially the book that shows you all of the tropes that you should avoid in the voice of the guy who wants to write these tropes. So it's like saying, so I'll give you just the first chapter here, or first example. Is the long runway, is that it? No, okay, so beginnings and setups. A manuscript comes screaming across the sky. Many writers kill their plots in their infancy with an ill-conceived premise or an unreadable opening. So we talked about openings with Les Edgerton's Hooked, and we talked about concepts with Larry Brooks's books. Try any of the strategies we've collected in our extensive field work, and you too can cut off narrative momentum at the ankles. So it's a parody book. It's a writing parody. It's literally like, if you want to write a bad novel, here's what you do. That's what this book's premise is. So The Lost Sock, where the plot is too slight. So we talked about the guy with the coffee. Well, this is the guy with the lost sock. So here's I'm going to read the first passage here. I'm actually going to read all of this from here to here, so you get a sense of what a bad story sounds like in the examples they give you. And this gives you an understanding of just how funny it can be. All right. So The Lost Sock, where the plot is too slight. Now, I want to also emphasize this has bad language in it, so and I don't use bad language on my channel, so I will censor out any word that's inappropriate. So just bear that in mind. I don't know if this passage has one, but I know there are some in here. It gets really offensive at times, so if you are sensitive to that kind of thing, maybe you don't want this book. But I argue that if you're that sensitive, you probably shouldn't be a writer, honestly. Not to be harsh, but, writing is a tough job. Writers and sensitive jobs sometimes, and sometimes, you just... Not everything's offensive. All right. Lost Sock, where the plot is too slight. Fools! Thomas Abrams thought, shaking his head as he completed his inspection of the drainage assembly under the worried eyes of Lynn Stewart. Foolish, foolish, fools, he muttered. Squirming out from under the attachment basin, he stood up and brushed off the grit that clung to his gray overalls. Then he picked up his clipboard and made a few notes on the form while Lynn waited anxiously for the verdict. Thomas didn't mind making him wait. Well, he said, as he finished and put the pen away. Well, well, well. What is it? Lynn asked, unable to keep a tremor out of his voice. When will you people learn that you can't use a B-142 joint enclosure with a 1811D nipple cinch? But Lynn stammered, or maybe, let me take a wild guess here, just maybe you confused an 1811D with an 1811E? He paused to let it sink in before delivering the death blow. Again? He left Lynn speechless and walked away without a look back, chuckling ruefully as he imagined the look on Lynn's face when he fully realized the implications of his mistake. What? That fool! Lynn in his foolish ways. How dare he get the 1811D wrong when he should have had an E, or whatever the heck that was supposed to mean. I actually don't even know, because I'm not a plumber. Here the main conflict is barely adequate to sustain a Partridge Family episode. Remember that this drama has to carry the reader through 300 odd pages. The central dilemma of a novel should be important enough to change someone's life forever. Furthermore, it should be something of broad interest. One of the first stumbling blocks a novelist must overcome is the misapprehension that what is of interest to him will necessarily be of interest to anybody else. A novel is never an opportunity to vent about the things that your roommates, friends, or mother cannot bear to listen to one more time. No matter how passionate and just your desire to see the masculine charms of the short man appreciated by the fair sex, or to excoriate landlords who refuse to make plumbing repairs, even when in violation of the specific wording of the lease, which wording he might pretend to be unaware of, but you know better because you have made highlighted copies for him, as well as for your roommates, friends, and mother. These are not plots, but gripes. This is not to say that a short man unlucky in love and living in a house with substandard plumbing cannot be your hero, but his height and plumbing should be background and texture sketched in briefly as he heads to the scene of the crime, wondering how the hell anyone could get injuries like that from a leg of a mutton. And that's number one. There's 200 of these. I'm not going to read any more because you get the point. It's 200 things that you should never do in your novel, and the hilarious ways in which the author does it anyway. Freaking hilarious book. You absolutely have to have this book. I don't care if you skip everything else I've done this season. Do not skip this one. Go out, get it now. Put it on your Amazon. It's only $16 American, $7.25 Canadian. Granted, it's came out in, I think, 05, 06. I had this book a long time. It's actually one of the early books I bought. 2008. Okay, so it's not the first book, but it's been on my bookshelf since it was new. So I've had it for over 10 years. I still think about it. I still remember the one about how Santa Claus is not the love interest. I mean, come on. Buy this freaking book. It's amazing. Okay, it's again, How Not to Write a Novel by Howard Mittelmark and Sandra Newman. It's so great. So great. You just have to have this one. That's all I'm going to tell you about it, because that's all I need to tell you. And make sure if you get the book, tell me your favorite passages and tell me which, if you read it, tell me which numbers you like the best. Take notes. Write a joke sample of number 201. I don't care. It's a good book to have. You need it, and it should be on every writer's bookshelf. This will cover a lot of the stuff that the other books won't. Like, this is beyond structure. This is, again, premise, as you've noticed, characters, the types of characters you shouldn't write. Again, there's one in there about how Santa Claus is not the love interest, so don't make him one. Although I broke that rule intentionally for that very reason, because I'm like, you know what? No, I can't make him the love interest. Screw you. I'm doing this. So, Fountain of Truth on my ebook, I'm rewriting it as part one of the McCrae Parables, which is going to be what Snow in Miami will be part two. If you read my blog, I've been talking about Snow in Miami since 2016. It's been taking me a while because it's become something I haven't really think it would, but it's become this Christmas series of this one guy basically stumbling through life, giving parables to his friends and family about why he can or can't do stuff, and I'm rewriting the Fountain of Truth as part of the first set of parables. And Saint Nick's Gem is the third story in the franchise, and he's a gym owner. He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's a bit buff dude in my story. Until the cookies come. Anyway, I broke the rule intentionally. You can do that if you can find a funny way to do something, by all means. But it's a great book. You must have it. It's the only book in my entire series that I think you are truly cheating yourself if you don't have it on your bookshelf. The others, I think you're also cheating yourself, but I understand why it might take you longer to get them, because they actually are they're written straight, very sobering language. This is not sobering. This is the kind of thing that comedians read on stage. So you should have it. It's good for a laugh, especially nowadays, because 2020 is the worst year ever. This is the best book ever, so get it. All right, that's it. I got one more book next for this season. It's another catch-all. It'll be worth it. I think it's a good ender. I was thinking of making Story Grid the ending book, but I think we need something a little broader than that. So the final book we're going to do, I'll give you the name of it. It's called Author Progress, or Author in Progress. I have it right here, and I'm going to record the video now, but you'll see it next week, and we'll end on that, and then I'll kind of give you an overview of what I plan to do for season 2. So thanks again. Like the video, like the book. Go get it now. I don't even know why you're still watching this. Go get the dang book. Make sure you leave me a comment on anything you want to give feedback on. If you have something you've written, if you've written an intentionally bad scene and you want to share it, give a link in the comments below, and make sure you point us in the right direction, and hopefully we'll have people who want to go read it and comment at your blog. And then just subscribe to the channel if you do like this kind of content, and anything you do to just keep me motivated to keep doing these videos, because I want to make sure they're helpful. But again, I want to reemphasize, as I always do, that the videos I do, part of the point is to get you introduced to these things. They're not necessarily to explore every facet of them. Even like Y Rider and all of those that I cover, I can't cover everything. You're gonna have to just try it. I'm giving you what I can, and you'll have to experiment with it to learn what works. It's the same thing with these books. I give you the first sample. There's 199 more to go. If you want to find out what those 199 are, read the book. Really, I don't think you'll regret it. It's a good book. So anyway, we'll see you next week, and again, Friday 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or whenever you get off work, and do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do, which is to I don't know, take a walk every so often, get some exercise. Don't be on your computer all day. Get some sunshine. Don't be stuck by the lights all day. Have your cup of coffee even when you run out. Go get another one. My coffee is now just a coaster. If you're keeping up with the saga of the coffee cup, it's in the sink. It's too late to get a new cup because I think it's 11 o'clock at night. 11:14, and I have to be up in 8 hours. So one more book to go, and then we're done for the season. Yes. So same time, same channel, same shirt. Be there.